Hello, welcome to this episode of State of Auto Tariffs as of May 21st, 2025. This is the current state of tariffs imposed by President Trump on the auto industry across selected countries that have differences from the general treatment. I'm Eric Masters, Professor of Business Emeritus, commentator, and podcaster. You can find me at my email address and YouTube channel, which I hope you will subscribe to. Auto sector tariffs. There are several sets of tariffs which may in theory apply to auto vehicles and auto parts, but there are exceptions to them as carved out by the administration under President Trump. There's an industry sector tariff which is imposed via Section 2 of a Trade Act and is set at 25% for covered motor vehicles. There is, however, a carve-out position for those vehicles which are produced in compliance with the United States, Mexico, Canada trade agreement. And also in China, there is a 25% sector tariff, which is not stacked onto the baseline tariff. There is, in addition, in China, a 301 trade agreement tariff of 100%, which is imposed on electrical vehicles. Plus, there is a 30% tariff imposed by a combination of a reciprocal 10% and a fentanyl 20% set of tariffs. There is also a 25% tariff imposed on auto parts, although there is a carve-out provision for products that are in compliance with the agreement between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. There are also various tariffs imposed on electrical vehicle batteries and battery parts under Section 301 of 25%, in addition to the 10% reciprocal tariff and the fentanyl tariff. In the case of these Section 301 tariffs, they are stacked onto the other tariffs. The industry sector tariff is not stacked onto the others. The United States also reached an agreement with the United Kingdom recently, pending the negotiation of a final agreement, which sets for the auto industry Section 232 tariffs on the UK, which are normally set at 25% across countries, at 10% for the first 100,000 vehicles imported in the US by the UK. There's a little bit about the Section 232 of the Tariff Expansion Act of 1962, under which authority the President has made the industry-wide auto tariffs effective, and also Section 301, which are country-specific, product-specific tariffs that are imposed due to perceived unfair labor practices or trade practices, and these are set based on various products. A little bit more about those here, which are cited earlier. Section 301, the President has used that authority to impose a 25%. This is President Biden that did this earlier and has been maintained by President Trump, 25% on battery parts and 100% on electrical vehicles. Here's a little bit about myself. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Please check the details and the specifics about this. Tariffs are a complicated issue, and it's very important that you manage it carefully. It's relatively simple in auto compared to some other industries where there's a lot of disagreement over the classification of various items. But this should provide you with a brief introduction to the current state of auto tariffs across the world, with exceptions and carve-outs for the U.S., Mexico, Canadian trade agreement, and also for China and the UK. Thank you and have a good day.